So again, we'll get started in about a minute. Make sure people are able to get settled in. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Special shout out to folks who joined us during the last session. Appreciate the support. Thank you, everybody. Today we'll be going over something new, brand new, right, Eric? Too new.
Yep. Just released.
Hot off the press. We shall get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We will be going over the brand new hot off the press ExperienceCS computer science curriculum for the enrichment, one of the enrichment options for summarizing 2025. If you joined us during the last session, forgive me, I'm gonna have to introduce myself again. My name is Santi. I created a company called Project Recess 10 years ago. And that whole time we've been supporting New York City public schools and using ed tech tools to support teaching and learning. But today you got to recognize when you need to bring in a ringer. So we're joined by Eric. Man, how do you pronounce your last name, man? I don't want to butcher it, man.
No worries. Scatteretico. It's the Italian in me.
I like that, man. I like that. Eric was recently named the 2025 CS or one of the CS Teaching Excellence Awards recipients. Folks, this is a national award. One of how many? One of
8 across the nation.
Across the nation. So Eric's been helping us put together this this curriculum to make sure that it's makes sense for New York City public schools. Talented guy. We're gonna be going over that. But first things first. In the chat, if you're inclined, can someone, anybody, everybody, what are the first 3 steps to making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? So if you feel inclined, please put it in the chat. What are the first 3 steps? All in one message. The first 3 steps to making a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Bread, peanut butter, and jelly. Hey, not wrong. Not wrong. Anyone else? What is their take on the first 3 steps to making a PB&J? You know, sometimes people say you go to the store and buy the ingredients, open the bag, get out the materials, open cans. I like that. All right, get the ingredients. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. If you feel inclined, feel free to continue to put it in there. But why are we asking the 3 steps to making a PB&J sandwich? Well, it's all about sequence. It's all about doing things in a particular order. And I just want everyone to be in that right mindset because that sets us up to getting a better understanding to what computer science is, doing things in a particular order. Get bread, peanut butter, jelly, and spoon. Thank you so much, Oni. Thank you so much. That being said, so again, today we're going to be going over the ExperienceCS free integrated curriculum for teachers to be used for the Summer Rising program. I've talked enough. Eric, take it away, my man.
It's nice to meet everyone. Thank you for joining during the summer. I appreciate you coming to the session. So yeah, basically, you know, don't worry about if you have no experience with teaching CS before. All these materials are aimed to be as easy to pick up and go and to support you in the classroom. So this is what will be replacing CS First, if anybody's familiar with it. Let me start sharing my screen. If you want, Santi, I'm going to take over for a moment.
Go ahead.
Grab this window. Okay. Can everyone see me okay? Sharing the window.
Looks good.
All right, cheers. All right, I'm going to scoot you all over here as I move on. All right, so yeah, long story short is Google had this curriculum, if you're not familiar, called CS First that was out. And now they've since retired, and Raspberry Pi came up with another integrated curriculum to support. All right, so we're going to take a look at it. Like Santi was saying before, this is as hot off the press as possible. They dropped resources on Friday, and we're bringing it to you live. We're going to try and make it work for you and condense this down to something that's manageable while teaching you a little bit about what's going on. So we have all of these interactive projects and resources on their main ExperienceCS.org page. I'll throw that in the chat for anyone who likes to follow along. And there's an upcoming webinar on July 16th. In case you find this interesting and it's something that you feel like is the route you'd like to go. But first, we'll just jump into the curriculum. So the curriculum's broken into different units targeted at different grade bands. So it starts out with the weather watchers unit. So essentially students take on the role as weather watchers and they learn the basics of programming, and over the course of the unit, eventually they'll program their own picture weather graph. On the following unit, they have the Me project. This one's a fun one, and we'll be focusing on unit 3.1, unit 4.1 for today. And that one is where they get to really dive into Scratch. That's going to be the platform for coding. It was developed by MIT, if you're not familiar, and be able to create a personal store and try to customize it. And as you can see over here, it targets different subject areas too. Now we're going to be adapting these resources in from 3 to 5, but as you can see, some of them are aged grade above, but we'll be differentiating and leveling it out for the condensed materials. But I'll show you how you could access the materials in case you support a different grade band like middle school or things like that, or just want to dive into the resources. So I'm going to pop this one open so you could just see how it looks. So it'll tell us our grade, subject. We have our unit overview, all organized so that way you could see the brief and the learning objectives. I'm going to jump back, and everything's laid out for the whole unit, lesson by lesson. All right, so I'm just going to show you the resources for the first part, then we'll see what comes next. All right, so our first unit is Introduction to Programming. This is assuming students have not used Scratch before or unfamiliar, and we're starting from the bare bones. Now, this is the full unit of what they have now. Afterwards, I'll show you what we've adapted, especially for summarizing to make things as easy as possible. So you have your lesson plan broken down, different success criteria, all the assessment opportunities, and come back, all the slide decks are there for you as well. Now, in the units, it's kind of a balance between unplugged lessons and digital activities. And by unplugged lessons, what I mean is that they're lessons where you do not need a device. For the purpose of the summarizing program, all the lessons that are condensed will be targeted to having the students working on the digital activities, so that way you also have a product to show and something to grade it at that point. Now, this is the Scratch platform if you've never seen it before. So and I'll show you what it looks like on the student's end and from the teacher end and the project view as well after this part. The students will have their instructions on the left. We'll have the main Scratch platform, if you're familiar with it, is exactly the same, just how it lives on their website is a little bit different. And if this is completely new to you, don't stress it. We're going to go through a demo lesson and walk you through the basics. And then if we have time, hopefully you'll be able to engage in activity, the first activity yourself. All right, so this, I'll head back over. And then our last part is the student resources for the actual project, like we were just looking at. So when the students are seeing their activity, and this is the one we'll do together later on, it's going to look exactly like this. The only difference is they'll have a mark as finished since they're students. Since I'm in the teacher account, I have the option to add to class. And this is how we're going to assign the projects within their sort of class management system that Raspberry Pi has going on. All right, and then some other resources under this one towards the top, we have teaching resources, some of the basics for getting started, a little video, and then some PDFs. And I'll show you the website, how things are a little bit easier. So they have PDFs that'll explain setting up your school account, creating your first class, assigning projects. We created this little hub website to make things as easy as possible for you. So that way there's little videos that explain it if you don't want to go through the PDFs. So let's check this out, and I'll drop this in the chat. Oh, thank you, Santi. You already put it there. And then here's our summarizing CS hub. So essentially, we tried to make this as seamless as possible, as much support as possible so you could roll this out with the least amount of issues. And we have our overview. If you want to dive really deeply, there's an hour webinar from one of the Raspberry Pi representatives that you could go check out also. Some of the basics for just getting started with Scratch, and then the curriculum, right? So like we were talking about before, these adaptations are targeted for summarizing to be accelerated. So they're condensing the units into only 4 mini lessons. If you want to dive deeper, there's links to the full curriculum. So at any time you could access the full curriculum also. Instead of going through all the steps that I showed you on the website, we've linked this here for you. So that way, instead of going through all those steps, you could just visit this Google Drive folder and all the resources that were there. You need the unit overview, our lessons with the slide decks, lesson plans, and resources for the activity, all conveniently there for you for each unit. For now, we only have unit 3 and 4 of the accelerated lessons that are up, but they'll be rolling out soon as it goes on. And towards the bottom is where we'll start seeing the resources for setting up our classes. Now, the first very important part before you do anything is that you set up your code editor school account. Now, this is a separate website from the ExperienceCS, and when you press this button here from our website, it will bring you straight to the login or sign up to create your school account. Now, it does take some time to verify your school account, so I recommend you do this as soon as possible. Mine is already is verified. I think it took a little less than a day for me to get the email verification. So not a crazy rough turnaround, but something to consider as you move forward with it. And then we have our videos for creating classes, how we can go about that. I'm going to walk you through it also. Adding students that we could add by student or from a bulk upload. Now, when we're adding our students, we'll be providing a username and temporary password. The students are going to get prompted to change their password after they go through the login. But as a teacher on your side, you can always change or reset in case they forget it. The students will be logging in through a separate login account from this website over here. Let me move this over actually, because I'm logged in now. Try to share. Go stop presenting so I could share my other screen so that we can see how it looks on that end. Go share the entire window. Let's go with that. Santi, can you see everything okay? All right.
Yes, I see the whole desktop.
All right. I think I got the wrong desktop. Thanks for your patience, everyone. And all right. Is that better now?
Yes, yeah, yes, we
All
see the whole desktop. Thank you.
Cool. So on this side is what it'll look like for the students. We're going to revisit code editor so we could see how it looks for the teachers. So they'll be ready to go. So on code editor, it'll be under for education. Sometimes you'll have to log back in and it'll be under your school. So when we go to your school, you have a unique school login code and you have the website link for the student login also. On your right side will be where your classes are. You have the option to create a class or manage members. Now they have a little bit of a funky thing going on that you have to add your students from the manage members first as a school member before you add them as a class to your class. Now this is in beta, so any feedback, anything you're thinking of, do complete the survey because the more feedback we get or give, the better the product becomes to meet our needs. So if we want to add a student, we'll go over here. You can see some of the examples that I provided before. We click on add student and choose between add a single student or multiple students. If we're doing multiple students, we hit continue, and then they'll have a bulk upload with the CSV format. Now, this is also available over on our website. Try to make this as seamless as possible under the Add Student section. So that way you could just edit it in a Google Sheet and then download it and re-upload it. I'm going to switch back over. Now, if you want to do a single student, just student's name, I'll put my own, whatever the username is. They say it should not contain the student's real name. So for mine, I was doing like pizza 3 and then temporary password. I think I just did welcome to or something simple, But that's the process for adding the student. Once we go back and go take a look at this class, since I didn't add anyone yet, you find your class that you want, pick class members, and then add member to class. So since we added them as a school member, now they should be able to pop up. And I'm just using one from prior. And again, if you have any issues, student forgot their password from your teacher account, you're going to be able to look at manage members, click on the student, the 3 dots over here, and you can help change their password or if they need their username changed or something like that. Does anybody have any questions so far? Doing okay? I know it's a lot. It's a lot. So please, there's no such thing as stupid questions. If there's anything at all, we'll walk through it together.
And I want to reiterate, like, this is brand new. Like, this platform came out what, like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're still, as Eric said, it's in beta. So we probably have more guidance on our website than the actual website. So
I created videos for going into the code editor and creating classes, and then I think this morning I saw PDFs for that. So
yeah,
we got your back.
Yeah,
so we got your back for sure. All right, so we went through code editor, creating our classes. We have our logins. We know where to go to give feedback to make this even better than it is now.
Eric, there's a question in the chat.
Yeah, please.
How long does a student start with Scratch before moving on to something like Python, in your opinion?
I would say, so I'm a K-5 computer science teacher. So I structure it throughout from Scratch Junior with the K-2s as they go, code.org to Scratch and things like that. I would say it depends on your students and depends on how your infrastructure currently, right? So by the end of 5th grade, towards when my students are leaving, is really when I see them on Python, when my more advanced students are getting to Python. And these are my 5th grade students I'm talking about. Could you adapt it so that way you're introducing Python at 5th grade at the beginning? I think that's possible, but it depends on where your students are at. Are they familiar with coding? Because they might not have the foundational concepts like algorithms or decomposition or sequencing, like Santi was doing that activity earlier. So it could be more difficult depending on their age group if they don't have that experience. It's not impossible. It just might be a bigger lift for you. Before I start, about the same. At that point, I would think personal preference. In my opinion, I feel like the block-based coding is helpful for them to visualize. So especially if they're new to it, you might want to get them started on that, see how they do. If you notice that this seems like it's too easy, I taught a 6 to 8 international middle school for a little bit, and there was some students that were more advanced and can handle it, and then you could sort of differentiate and give them the task in Python instead of the block-based coding, depending on how you see your class. I would definitely say keep an ear to the ground, see how your students are doing, start with the Scratch programming, and if you feel they could use a challenge, then you could move on there. All right. So I think that's about it for code editor. And then just in your brain, you have to put on this switch that code editor is your teacher dashboard. I wish they said teacher dashboard, but just so you turn on in your brain, code editor, your school. This is where everything's gonna live. Like, here's an example from one of them. So when you assign a project, it'll show up over here. And then once you click it, there's some very simple class management tools where you'll be able to view your students' work and they'll be able to mark it as finished so they're ready. Oh, no worries, no worries. Listen, I have spent the past 11 years teaching in the Bronx in District 9, 10, and or 8, 9, and 11. District 8, 9, and 11. So totally get it. I've been supporting Bronx kids with computer science since about 2018. So I promise you, you'd be surprised and you'll be excited to see all of the things they can do. Because one thing about teaching computer science that I always love is sometimes the kids have these creative ways to express something in a way that I never even thought of. I'm like, you know what? You know what? You got that, kid. I'm gonna let you have that one. I'm gonna let you have that one. But yeah, so you can check out the students' work. This was a project I made before from the student account, and we'll walk through that too. And then you could always download the student project so that way you could help support them, or if you need to take that offline. All right. So I think we're going to move on to some of our adapted curriculum. If everybody's doing okay, we navigated the dashboard a little bit. We created some classes. We added students, found our active. Oh, this is where we need. Pondering activities. As we were saying, right, I want to make your life as easy as possible. We'll look at this, how you would normally have to do things to get to assignment, curriculum, weather watchers, resources, Scratch project, right? That's how you get the project link into add to class. But because we care about you all so much, right? When you go to our accelerated lessons and you click on that, boom, right there. For each of your 4 mini lessons, we have linked the exact project. So that way you could just click on it, go straight to it, and then add it to your class. So for your ease, the student resources project links will be there. So that way you could just go there, one-stop shop, bada bing, bada boom, and get in there. All right. And then another, what else I want to say? Student resources. Perfect, perfect. Oh, yes. And on our website, also on the CS Hub we got going on, also they're linked in the scope and sequence where we could take a look at the week, the lesson focus, some vocabulary, and over here's your project activity. It's the same one that I was sharing just a moment ago. Same for Unit 4, the Me project. All right, we're cruising right now. All right, so we got that under lock, checked out some of our resources, and I think we're ready to take a look at the first lesson if everyone's okay with that. If anyone else has any other questions, please feel free. Nothing else? All right, I'm going to continue. Raise a hand, send something in chat, come off mic if anything is really itching you right now. All right, so we'll start with lesson 1 from our Unit 3.1 Weather Watchers. Intro to programming. Now, even if you're teaching middle school, it is a good place to start for students that have never done Scratch before. All right, so we'll have our intro, our lesson objectives, our command programs, instructions, and learn what that all means, our vocabulary, right? Little characters called sprites. And like we were seeing when I was showing you before, this is everything the students are going to be doing all the work in. They'll have this little stage with their sprite, and I'll demo in a few moments what that looks like, our programming area, our coding blocks, and our instructions. Now, you got all sorts of different coding blocks in Scratch, and it could get really advanced for those students that are prepared for it or want to explore. They finish early. Now, the basic ones we're going to begin with is our motion blocks that are always in blue, our look blocks that will control how the sprite looks in purple, our pink sound blocks where we've got sounds, and what we call our event blocks, these yellow blocks. Now, those control our program and will help tell it to run. So in our basics for creating a program in Scratch, essentially is we have all these blocks and we want to put them together like that PBJ in a sequence that makes sense, or to complete a task that we want. So for this case, in our first program, we want to make a program that looks, sound, using looks, sounds, and motion. We're gonna have our character say hello, wait a little bit, move a little bit, make a meow sound. Now, this when green flag clicked is our event block, right? That's how our program knows when to start. That's how the students will be able to test it. Right. So I'm gonna open up the project. I'm gonna put the link in the chat too if anybody wants to try the project as we go along. Give you a little bit of time so you could go through it. Maybe some questions might come up after. So again, I'm looking at it from a teacher perspective right now, but the only difference really is that add to class, the students won't have that option. You're still able to go through it. So over here, we're talking about our program area. So everything, once your program's all done, this is like your final preview, like you're doing editing in Premiere Pro or things like that of what your cleaned up product will look like. On this corner over here is our sprites or the characters that we'll be programming in. And it could be other things too. Students will have a whole bunch of different options once you get to that point for adding different ones, just to show what else is over there. And there are three main tabs. We have our code tabs. That's going to make our sprites or characters do something. Our costume tab, right? This will help with our animations to simulate the characters moving. And you could also have students customize. And this is something that'll come up in unit 4.1, where the students will be doing the me project. So they'll try to make the characters look like them. And that's when you really dive a little bit deeper into the paint tools. And so we'll follow our instructions, create a program using looks, sounds, and motions. Make sure your program starts with an event. That's our yellow block. And can we make a program that has 10 commands? Well, let's start with this first. We'll say hello. Then this block goes out to wait for a second. And then we go move for 10 steps and play a sound, right? You see our character made a, oh, I'm not sure if you catch the sound from me too, but you're going to hear a lot of meows during these projects.
We'll imagine it in our minds.
Yeah. And you can see the character going. Oh, cool. Santi, do you think we give everyone a chance to engage with the activity now? See if they have any questions.
Yeah, we can ask the audience. Does anybody have any questions right now? Does anybody feel like they want some time to dive into it? Eric, I know you mentioned like they need to like create an account, right? Like it.
Yeah, that might be a good first step.
Maybe we can have people do that. Can we drop the link in the chat?
Yeah, I got you right now. And then please, if anything comes up, please feel free to ask us. Let us know.
So maybe walk us through that process one more time if folks want to register right now.
Yeah, sure thing. All right, so on our CS Hub website, over here, we hit the blue button and it'll bring you over to create your own account. Mine says view your school, but for yours, it'll say create a school account. Log out. There you go. Yeah, yours will say create a school account. So if you want to take a moment, the sooner you do that, the better, as you know, it is in beta and it could take about a day or less for them to verify with your educator. Now I'm gonna just go on mute for a moment and give you a chance to do that.
Yeah, I'm seeing a window. It says I'm in the process of being verified. So how long did you say it took you to get verified?
I think it was the next morning.
Okay, that's good.
The next morning. Yeah, it said something about a longer time, so I was concerned, but it ended up being much faster than expected.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm here. I'm looking at the window. It says, please wait for 5 working days before contacting us about verifying your school. So better,
I
better.
will say it did not take 5 days, so that's our glimmer of hope there.
All right. I think we can. Were you going to go over the next unit?
Sure thing.
Okay.
All right, let's continue on. Now, for the next unit, there are some important considerations. We'll close a few of these to make it a little bit easier for you. All right, so the next unit we're looking at, this for a second, will be the me project. So the whole point of this one is students will be walked through learning about the basics of creating an animation. So taking what they learned in unit 3.1 and building off of that to be more advanced. So they're going to really get into those paint tools. They're going to customize their characters to look like themselves, start learning about dialogue, and let's dive in, check out the first one. All right, switching over, we're navigating through. Remember, everything will be under Summer Rising. Otherwise, you'll have all of the official materials, linked over there. All right, here we go. That's our first lesson, is personalizing our sprite. Now, like we were saying, it becomes more advanced. So now we're introducing the concept of decomposition. And so we have our vocabulary in the beginning, our learning objectives, our focus on costumes now. We took a brief look at that with the dog, how we could change the costumes, and that each of these steps will help create our animation. In our costume tabs, where you have all these different options, or canvas, the different paint tools, this one ends up being really useful for the animation flip horizontal and flip vertical, instead of taking the little wheel and trying to organize it and move it around. And that first activity is modifying a sprite. So I'm going to move over here so I could share with you that. So you want to take a look at it. Now, important reminder for this project, put this one over there in the chat so you have it, is that for multi-day projects, right? Because the Me project is our major project. For each lesson, they will have to download it and then upload it for the following part. And I put a reminder in bright red, and in the lesson plans, there's also a reminder. So when you take a look at the lesson plans, they'll be there also. So that way you don't forget about doing that. This is just a little quick gander, really walks you through it, has the links there, some common pitfalls or simple differentiation, and over here, yeah, are important reminder that students will have to download their project and then re-upload it. Download it and re-upload it. All right, cool. Now, the transforming sprites is in the chat. Take a look at how that looks. And now the focus is the students are just getting used to the costumes, used to that, so that way when they go on to modify it for themselves, that they'll be able to have all those skills, and you'll be able to know they have the skills as they go through the lesson. So simple things like we're looking at change the color and fill. Maybe they want a different color dinosaur, different things like that. Use color dropper. It's always important, things like that. And our dinosaur is changing colors now. Maybe we'll make this slightly darker. You see the difference. Ooh. All right. A little bit dark, so notice it. And we lost our eyeballs, but that's okay for now. All right, and then flipping horizontal. This is definitely use this one a lot during the animations, and can add more on if you want a character with a mustache, dinosaur mustache, or something like silly like that. So this is when you really get to see the kids be creative. That's a really fun part. All right, go leave this. And walk through there. Now, some of them have multiple activities. So like we were saying, this one gets towards that just like me. So thinking about, okay, so this is what people look like and what different shapes can we decompose out of it and how many shapes we could see, start that discourse with the students. And then this is the first part for our me project one. Get over here. Remember, always go back to our student resources for the lesson. All of them are right there for you. We're in lesson one. So I could see that my core project, we did the transforming sprites, and now we're on the me project. Now, if you go over here to costumes, they have a whole bunch of preset costumes so that they don't have to start from scratch. And then, yeah, here's my character I had originally. Somebody said it looks like Santi. I thought that was funny. And we have our zoom. For me, I have longer hair, so I was adjusting it,
That's funny.
reshaping. It's funny how the world works, right? Raspberry Pi knew it. So I was trying to, adjust, make it look more. But another way you could do it is you could directly draw in the paint tool, something like that. Maybe I got a little bit more hair going on over here. Not exactly perfect. Not exactly perfect. And then you could do the Control C, Control V, so those hotkeys still do work for it. And it'll walk them through with all the tips. All right. And then that's the beginning of the me project. So for example, let me swap over from a student account so that we can see. So we have our school code login. I had this already, so that's why it's a little bit easier. Pizza 2. And then logging in. So this is coming from the student log currently logged in. Let's see. We'll try to get back over there one more time. All right, there we go. So sometimes you do have to refresh the page. It's still in beta. Please remember to provide all the feedback. And yeah, so this will look like for the students, very simple interface. And then, yeah, let me project party. Yeah, you see, so sometimes they'll bring you this page, but once you let sit and load, they'll load through. So this was something I was mentioning before for each of the different parts, right? So this was originally, this was for part 3 because we're making the character wave. You could see how we start to build that out. Right, so all that is working from our code. So now, like we were saying, the programming starts to get more advanced as you go through. So now we're getting to concepts of loops. But what I mean about loop is when you ask something to do it over and over again. This repeat block is our loop block. So whatever is inside of here is going to happen 10 times. So our logic for our event block, when our green flag is clicked, we're going to repeat something, and we want to look like the character's waving, right? So we had our initial one, and the next one, we just took the arm and kind of moved it over a little bit and adjusted until it looked a little normal. And then kept doing it. And this is what I meant about the reverse horizontal too, right? Because when I did this and tried to do it for that part, right, it looks kind of weird. So that's a moment when flipping it horizontally is helpful, right? Because our arm was over here, but we wanted to have it flipped so that way it looks a little bit more natural. Right, and then those are different costumes. So our code is asking it to repeat 10 times to switch costumes, and then wait a second, and switch costumes, and wait a second. And that just keeps going and going and going and going for however long you say in your code. All right. How's everyone doing so far? Anybody have any questions? Anything they're curious about? Move back to our teacher side of things. All right, everyone's doing okay? All right, so let's take a look at making sure we upload the proper. Yeah, so once a student downloads a project, it'll look like that. And a lot of students are on Chromebooks, so they'll be able to find it in that downloads folder. Then uploading it, same process, find that recent one, and we'll be able to open it up. Then it'll load up. So unfortunately, at this time, something the students will have to do is that, let's say for part 2, oh, I finished my project, cool, move on, part 3, you will have to download that and re-upload it because it will not show up otherwise. So that's something they'll have to work on, and something definitely in the feedback. So you see, this wasn't naturally there, so we'll have to upload the project from part 3 to part 4, so that way I could continue to the next part. As we take a look, gonna look at our sound blocks and then start our dialogue, right? And so under our looks, our purple blocks is also where our dialogue is. And so I added say hello. So now my character says hello and then initiates the wave. And because in the sequence, that could get really annoying, right? Because in the sequence, I put it over there, they're going to say hello a whole bunch of times. So this is part of the debugging process where we're thinking, all right, well, that didn't look supernatural. How can we go back? And this is something you'll prompt the students to do. And in specific lessons throughout the unit, it won't be like, oh, well, this is debugging. It'll be specifically laid out with definitions and vocabulary and activities to help walk them through the process of debugging. All right, let's see the updated one. All right, hello, and going through that animation. Ooh. Go ahead back there, and then bring us back to our teacher's side of things. All right, just doing a check-in. Does anyone have any specific questions with the lesson planning, with the student projects? Confused? You want to try something out yourself? Drop the links in the chat too. Resources for Unit 4.
And we can give folks some time at the end also while we're doing the feedback form and the CTLE credit form. We'll give some people time if they want to experiment with this.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, and then let's take a look at their full materials too. So you'll see that this is condensed for the purpose of meeting summarizing needs. But if you find that you do want to just explore what they have already, feel free. Now they'll have more unplugged lessons, for example, storyboarding animations. You'll see all of the other activities and assessments they have to go along with it, aside from just the digital activity. So we'll take a peek out at this. Now, also great idea to include this and to do the storyboarding beforehand, especially if you have younger students. So that's something to consider, making sure that's as accessible as possible. And we'll look at how they have it laid out as well. And so like we were talking about debugging, having students go through finding errors. Oh, we could do this one together if anybody wants. All right, let's go up the pre-done videos and we'll see. Okay, we have 2 dinosaurs. Now, what is our bug? Does anybody think they could find the bug in this? I'll play one more time. So we've programmed our 2 dinosaurs. And here's the visual of what they're saying. What could be a possible problem that we have in our program?
And this looks to be related to the comic session that we just did.
Oh, wow.
With the anybody,
Nice.
yeah. I'm gonna get. Is it the bubbles, the talk bubbles?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Santi, our paid actor, here for helping out.
I'm a plant.
Yeah, so,
oh, there we go.
Exactly. Nice. Thank you for throwing me a bone, Jamila. I appreciate you. All right. So like we were talking about with the other example, it doesn't always look natural, right? So now the students are starting to learn, oh, you can't just code it, right? people spend a lot of time creating animations and making sure the timing is just right. And you can have discussions. Well, if we're having a normal discussion here, how would we talk to each other? Am I just going to talk over you? Am I just going to talk as Santi's talking and he's trying to share something? I'm like, how are you? Continue it. So it lends itself to having different conversations, and then the solutions are there, so that way you can have that greater talk with the little character there, so you know the difference of who goes to who. Okay.
And it's good to make sure that the mouths are moving at the same time, right?
Make it look as natural as possible. Now, we only have the condensed units for 3.1 and 4.1 right now, but those will be rolling out over time. And if you want to dive ahead, you can always look at their full units. All those lessons from their official ExperienceCS website are conveniently located in there for you. So let's see how the next one's an interesting one. Unit 5.1 is about taking a tour. So again, that's social studies and I think this is a good opportunity for culturally responsive teaching too, to make it more focused on things of your neighborhood, of what the kids are familiar with in terms of programming different landmarks and something that you could draw on the background knowledge a little bit easier. Yeah, and then it starts getting to be more advanced. So you see how things start to escalate. This unit 5, and now we're moving into sensing, right? So having students code so that way the shark can sense different things and go towards a mouse pointer. All right, I think that's pretty much covers everything with ExperienceCS for right now.
Yeah.
As more information comes along, we'll be sure to share it and forward it along. And please do remember, as you go through it, I'll show you once more. Gotta log in on my end first. Please do give them as much feedback as possible for what you want to see, right? This beta survey, this is how we get the product to really look and be something that's exactly tied to what we need support in and what we as teachers want to see. That makes our lives a bit easier.
Eric, thank you. Thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute. Feel free to add it to the chat. I just added the resource website one more time into the chat. I'm going to add the feedback form as well as the CTLE request form. So let's all take a minute to fill these various forms out, please. There's a feedback form for today. Eric, thank you again for guiding us through this journey.
Thank you for having us, y'all.
There's a feedback form, and then I will put the CTLE form in there as well. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to let us know.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So when I tried to sign up for the teacher account, it basically said that since I'm the first teacher that would be signing up, I guess, from my school, that I would like own the account or something, and then like be responsible. And so I feel like, I mean, I don't know, this is my first like experience with coding, so I didn't want to be, the person who would have to I guess navigate and I guess teach the other teachers in my building about it, or at least for summer school anyway. So I'm hoping that maybe somebody else is here from that's in the building, and they, if they feel more comfortable with it. But is there a way to just like do one just for like an individual teacher, or it has to be a whole school thing?
So it'll likely be the whole school thing, but don't worry, right? Because we got you. I promise. Everybody feels the same at first, right? You're thinking computer science for elementary and middle school, what?
Right.
But especially like the people ask me, you do computer science with kindergartners? I'm like, yeah, we do computer science with kindergarten. Like, it sounds crazy, but step by step we'll get through it. And at worst, right? So we'll set you up as you'll start as a school account. I'm gonna borrow the screen one more time, Santi. I apologize.
Please go ahead. No, go ahead. Please
Grab
do it.
this for a second. All right, here we go. Forgive me, I won't be able to look at the camera for a second. All right, so over here, they have an email web support, and this is on our CS Hub too. All right, so how it would look over here, right? You're the school person. Awesome, you've been granted this great responsibility for now. I know we are often voluntold in New York City. So if you have other teachers that are running the program, we'll hit invite teachers so that way we could get them in on it. Now, afterwards, I understand the concern about the ownership. I would say contact Raspberry until your school figures out how they want to look in your building. If there's someone that's like, oh yeah, I love responsibility, put me there. And then we could talk to web support and contact them to see if they could help support in transferring the ownership.
Hey, Eric, what happens when you click on one of those three dots? Can you have more than one owner?
I don't see an option. We can edit students. I haven't added a teacher. Is yours just Santi at projectrecess.org?
It might work better for like DOE, right?
Sure. Let me see. Can I borrow your DOE account? Jamal, I'm gonna invite you to mine.
You want to use mine? You can put mine, man.
Oh yeah. Let's use Santi as our guinea pig here, and we're all gonna find out together.
Make sure you add .gov at the end.
Santi.com. It's an impersonator.
Right. Yes.
We got another Santi running around.
An actor.
Yeah. Right. All right. But yeah. So any issues you have, I would recommend contacting their web support team. Put in the chat also, but don't get too crazy on that. We'll figure it out as long as it goes.
Yeah.
It should be an easy fix.
Do you want to try to add me as a teacher and then see if you can make me an owner?
Yeah. I invited you. Did you get an email yet
already? Okay, let me see.
Yeah, I could spam another email and just keep bothering you. Ooh.
Now I gotta. Okay, here we go. I got an I'm in my Outlook. Join the school. Clicking on the link. Continue. I accept the terms and conditions. Join school. Okay, I should be in there. So if you refresh your screen, see if you're able
to check it out.
Add me as an owner.
Okay, here's Santi. No,
Okay.
You show up as one of the I have a new category for teachers now.
Interesting. Okay.
New icon. That's something we'll report with their beta feedback. Let's stop presenting that. Now, Jamila, yeah. What's up, Sanji?
So I just want to go back to Oni's question, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So yeah, that's a big responsibility, right? Like you might not want to be the owner of that, but Eric, do you know if other teachers that are not owners, do they have the same, I guess, like ability to edit, things, or like it needs to be the owner that like uploads the students and everything? I guess I can find out if I log in.
Can you try from your end and see from that teacher account? I think that'd be our best bet from that.
What was it again? It's not teacher dashboard. It was
code editor and then your school. Yeah,
okay.
That's something definitely. It's hard to make that switch in the brain, but
do you have that link to that code editor?
Yeah, of course. Let's see.
Sorry.
No worries. Let's see if this will be the sign up one, but if you're already logged in, it should bring you there.
All right, let's see. View your school. I see manage members, but yeah, I see what you see, but I can't make myself an owner. So
yeah. So I guess we'll reach out to. Are there a lot of other teachers at your school running this only? Do you know of, or?
Well, I know of one across the hall from me that said
be
he was going to do coding. Right.
Like,
yeah, I don't know. we're
Okay.
everybody kind of chose which PDs they wanted to go to, and because this
Yeah.
is all for the enrichment part of it.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm not sure what people are on. We're all like in our own rooms.
Yeah, of course, of course. So at least you have a partner. I'm glad to hear you're not
Right.
alone
Well,
there.
he's not here right now, so I'm gonna find, maybe he did a different time. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And I'm
Okay.
glad you asked that question because I mean, everyone's going to experience that if they're the first one
Mhm.
at their school. So I guess that's something to keep in mind. If you're doing this and you're the first one to sign up, make sure you want that responsibility. A question? Somebody
I
had
think
to.
it's somebody from my school.
Oh,
Ah,
So I
our
think I
best
recognize
friend.
that.
Yeah. So I'm the tech teacher in the fall in the year. So I did send the I'm sorry, guys, can you give me 1 second, please? I did send the request because I'm teaching coding in the year. And this is not just for the summer, I'm guessing. Right?
it's not for the summer. Like, wait, first of all, are you part of the same school or completely
Yes, we are. So
Okay.
I'm the tech teacher. So I was
Oh,
thinking
perfect.
using this, and I do teach kindergarten and
Oh,
7 and 8. So, so whoever gets the permission has to go and ask the other teacher to add you as a, like, I don't know how it works. I just want to make sure that I'm able to use this in my classes.
I guess if you're the one like leading the sessions, you should be the one. Yeah, you should be the
Yeah,
one
I'm like,
account, so you
Yeah.
have all, like, full capability of managing the account for the schools, because yes, this is intended to be used for the year, not just for the summer.
yeah,
th- yeah,
it's
go
a
ahead.
little tricky for me because I was looking at the lessons and it says like 7 per unit, but I only teach tech once a week. So I was like, it's gonna take me forever just to get through one unless I combine it, I guess. But I gotta look at it. But
Eric,
Yes.
yeah, go
So
ahead.
that's where the units we released so far is for 3.1 and 4.1. So those are to address that exact problem. Are 4 lessons condensed, taking everything from that unit and trying to make it into a nice little package, understanding the needs. I also do Kid of 5 computer science and PS100 out in Sandview, Bronx.
Yeah, and it looks like it's more than 45 minutes, like looking at the breakdown. So I guess we'll have to be adjusted because the thing, I'm afraid that by the time I go next week, like they already forgot what we did
Yeah.
this week. Like it just seems like it's a lot
Yeah.
for tech is usually like, once or twice a week. It's not a core class tech. So but I have to go through the program. It's amazing. Like everything is in there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And if you have any other questions or need more support, I totally get that. I also have most of my students I only see once or twice a week. Same, I'm also a Spock and everything else in the building. So any other tech related challenges, keep in touch.
Definitely send that feedback to Raspberry Pi. Again, like, it's completely new. We're probably the first like large district to really use this, honestly, because it's that new. So that means, there's going to be growing pains. It's going to get better. The resources are going to be more polished. But as Eric has mentioned numerous times, it really depends on like the feedback that we send. So if there are any other questions, thank you everyone for the questions you had so far. Oh yeah, Tracy, question.
Hello? Yeah, I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
That's fine.
I did not register for your professional development, but I got the link through the AP that had sent us an email that so we could join.
Yeah.
So I find these 2 past sessions that I joined like very informative, but there's a lot of information. So you did mention earlier that you're recording. How can I get the access to the recordings?
Yes. So I'm taking attendance of everyone that's joining this call,
Okay.
and I'm gonna email the recording to you, and I'm also gonna email it to. I'm also gonna put the recordings on the resource website.
Okay.
So we want the website to just be the one-stop shop for everything. So even if I missed emailing you, if you just go to the website that we just shared in the chat, and for all of our enrichment offerings, the comics, the music production, this coding stuff, like these sessions are going to be embedded on there, so you'll have access to it.
Okay. So do you have our email addresses already, or do I need to send it to you?
I should have them. I set it up so whoever's in this call, I'll have a record of attendance. In addition, those folks that have registered through the Google form, I'll message you also. All this to say, even if those don't work, you have the link to our website and it'll be there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for that question. Anything else? Eric, that was wonderful, man. Thank you. Thank you for that guide through this
Yeah,
platform.
of course.
Thank you everyone for your time. The CTLE link is in the chat, as well as a feedback form. Please fill them out, particularly the feedback form. And if you're going to join us for the next one, AI-powered music production, it's a different link. It should be in your email. Thank you all for joining us. I'll hang out for a little bit. And if you're not going to join us, have a good rest of the day. Thank you, everybody. Eric, thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll debrief later.
Sounds good. Take care, everyone, and thanks for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So the feedback form should be in there. It should be pinned. I'll post it again. So this is the feedback form for the session right now. So please take a minute and fill that out, please. If you need the join link for the next session, music production, let me know. I can put that in the chat as well. And that next session will be starting shortly in about 14 minutes. And that's on music production using free online tools. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.